There we go.
This
Recording is
meeting
in
is being
progress.
recorded.
Thank you. Hey, Sarah, thank you for joining us today. We are just getting started. I think this is pretty much everyone that will be joining us today, Mr. McMichael, but I wanted to invite Mr. McMichael into the space to continue our conversation and could just to pretty much bring to a close our Breathe, Relax, Lead professional development series. We did a lot of work within those 3 days where we really were focusing on breathing and relaxing and really starting to kind of introduce the whole notion around self-leadership and people leadership. So Mr. McMichael is here today and he'll come in his own uh, conversational mean of presenting. Actually, we not do PowerPoints and all of that, but we really just have some real deep thought provoking conversation around who we are as individuals, who we are as leaders, that self-leadership piece, and then who we are as individuals who may lead people in our personal lives as well as our professional lives. So he's going to come in his own form and fashion. I'll allow him to do his own introduction. He's not a stranger to the college. He's done some work over the years with a few of the other student support programs, and then a lot of work with students specifically within those particular programs. So I think he'll be a great person. I was going to say the better person, but I'm the best person to lead these conversations, but you guys are in great, awesome, and amazing and trusted hands to really guide the conversation around self-leadership and then just leadership over people. So we had a few conversations. He has a general idea about the student support programs and the makeup of our respective teams. I did give him some insights on things I would like for him to kind of touch upon and just to lead out the conversation around. But without further ado, I'll step back and then allow Mr. McMichael to step forward to go as he decides. If you want to do round robin introductions, Mr. McMichael, you can by all means. But without further ado, I would like to present to everybody because I introduce Mr. Lavelle McMichael.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Good to meet everybody. And if you all want to, I don't mind going around I see all of your names. So if that's sufficient enough for you, or if there's something that you want to specifically tell me about the support program that you work with and something that you want to raise during this conversation, please feel free to do so. Or if there's something that you feel that I need to know as we start this dialogue, I believe that you know best who you are and what you bring to the table. And all I'm going to do is really lead you into a discussion that is within yourself, so that not only can you be honest with yourself, but that you can bring your true self to this team so that your student support work can be more impactful and effective to not only the team that you're working with, but to the students that are impacted by the work that you do. Because a lot of times we have an expectation of the students that we work with, but then as the adults and as the professionals, we don't have those same expectations of ourselves. And we really cannot expect from them something that we don't expect from ourselves. And so a lot of times the disconnect of the success of our programs is because we do not have the same expectations of ourselves. So I did have Karen, who's awesome and amazing, to send out some handouts. I am not going to share my screen. You have those documents in front of you, just some handouts that I created to really help us guide our discussions over the next few weeks around leadership mindset. And that's the handout we're going to start with today, leadership mindset. And we're going to really talk about what are our fears in leadership, what are our growing edges, what are our strengths, and what are our desires? How do we really show up to work? And Dr. Smith and I have really had some extensive conversation over the past several weeks just about your wellness and getting in touch with your own self. And anybody that's going to be an effective leader, or I will even go further to say a transformative leader, has to know their own selves. And when you go through wellness and breathing and really understanding your body and how you respond to conflict, how you respond to pressure, then that really brings you into a space to be an effective leader and a transformative leader. So I really am looking forward to seeing how you bring those pieces of what you've already done in terms of self-leadership, people leadership, and reflective introspection to this conversation. So is there anybody that really, well, just go around really briefly and tell me who you are and what you want to get out of this leadership mindset. And I'll just call you off. That way you'll know who to go next. So I'm gonna start with Brittany.
Hey, real quick, Mr. McMichael, I made you a co-host, so if you do want to end up sharing your screen and referring to documents, you can, but I did make you a co-host.
Okay.
So my name is Brittany, and I work here as a student support specialist to help students with needs outside of school if they're facing like food challenges and housing challenges. And something I want to get out of this session is just being open-minded to learning, better leadership skills and how to work, best as a team member as part of our supports team. So thank you.
All right. Kat, congratulations, by the way, on your recent recognition.
Oh, thank you. Somebody was just saying that. That's why I was waving. Of course, I was paying attention, but not paying attention. So my name is Katisha, but everybody calls me Kat, and I am a student success coach in the office of under the Act 101 program. And so we provide coaching for our students, and that could be academic, mental wellness, resources here for, at the college, and just to tap in, just to really connect with them to see where they are in the current space that they're holding. Those connections are important to me. And sometimes I don't have proper boundaries because those conversations sometimes can be a text message at 10:30, right, p.m. Or a 6:30, maybe a.m. call because a mom is at home with her babies and hasn't had adult connection in a while. So I think for me personally, boundaries is definitely a place where I need to improve, like a lot. So,
Got it.
yes. Am I round robin it?
You know what? You can pick the next person.
Well, I have so many favorites. Oh my gosh, it's so hard. Ingrid, I saw you today. You were working your magic today with someone. So I'm gonna call Ingrid.
Hello, everyone. I serve as the director of the KEYS program, and we serve students who are in a welfare to work program. We are, I like to start with the beginning. So KEYS is rooted in legislative within the state of Pennsylvania. So we are actually law. As a result of research from the Department of Labor, and it really comes out of, okay, how can we stop the recidivism of welfare? So our motto is the KEYS programs opens doors, and we help you walk through it. You have to do the work, and we want to help you educate yourself through a certificate or a degree, and beyond that, where you are no longer eligible for assistance. And so that's what we do and who we serve. And so we also have what's called 3 pillars of success. We use growth mindset instruction and practices, the DISC assessment to help the student know their personality type in relation to other people, how to communicate. The way you would communicate with a more dominant and direct person is going to be different from how you would communicate with someone who's more relational. And it goes both ways. And then we also have something called boss life skills. So what is that? Boss life skills is look at somebody who you think is successful and you want to get into their mind. How do they do it? What are they, who they build a team around themselves. So you may have a team for entertainment, people who you like to hang out with. You may have a team for your health, people who you do your health and fitness with. You may have a team for your finances, your faith base. And so it's holistic. Oftentimes people are told about the KEYS program if you have a financial deficiency of some kind. We don't have money to give our students like that. The program does pay for childcare and transportation, but the program does not pay for tuition. but we definitely will help that student do the work, and it's lifelong work to help you be a successful individual. And that's always changing as you level up in different areas of your lives. So
Thanks. Thank you.
you're welcome, sir. And I won't be on camera the whole time, so bear with me.
No problem.
I've got other,
I appreciate you offering that because that's very helpful. Can you pick the next person to talk to us?
sure, Miss Sarah, that's my mom's name.
Good afternoon, everyone. Sarah Shank. I am the coordinator of student life. So I have been graciously extended this opportunity to join the student support program. So thank you all for letting us join again. So we are an office of 2.5, 3. But we support all students on campus in terms of campus programming, student clubs and organizations. We do a lot of leadership development with all of the students, whether it be our student leaders or any student that's interested in learning about themselves and really how they can apply their skills, their skill sets, and any kind of leadership development opportunities we offer to their workforce. So looking for jobs, and then when they actually get into their job, really honing in on those skill sets and succeeding and being successful. And so what I'm interested in getting out of this opportunity would be additional skills in my repertoire to be able to pass on to those students that we work with every day. And I will pass it to Kathy.
Hello, everybody. I work for the Veterans Department. So I help any veteran that is getting out of the service that wants to use their GI Bill, as well as their family, the dependents. So what I want to get out of this is balance. I'm trying so hard to balance my work, home, full-time, part-time. And with our boss leaving, I need to keep my mind afloat. So that's what I'm looking at for this training. Let me see. How about Mr. D?
Hey guys, can you see me? Hello, hello.
We can hear you, but
see your
we
video.
see
Oh, yeah.
can
Oh,
hear
now we
you.
do.
I'm here. All right. Hi guys, how's everybody? Yeah, it's a crazy day, crazy morning, but we're here. I think hopefully I'm going to learn a lot from you guys, from this team that I think is very supportive. I'm a KEYS facilitator. I work with the KEYS program. I work with Miss Fisher. I have been working with the college for almost 15 years. And basically from this training, I would like to just learn more and new skills to addition to the ones that I have, and will be able to help my students and help my team, basically. And that's it for now.
All right. I think we have 2 more.
I think the next one will be Holly.
Hi, thanks, Mr. D. I'm Holly Harris, and I am the coordinator for the POWER program. The POWER program supports students in mental health, substance use, and autism recovery, as well as autism spectrum disorder. Like Kathy, we are going through a lot of transition, and I'm going to basically be a team of one for a little while. So we're going through just redesign, enhancement. But with regard to leadership, so I listened to all of you. I also, like Kathy, want to learn more balance, and have been realizing that I'm a recovering perfectionist, and therefore I put a lot on myself and have a hard time figuring out how to ask others for help, or in that, and just kind of working on that and collaborating more with others, and not trying to put everything on myself and make it perfect, because that backfires.
Awesome. And then
Aaliyah.
Hi, my name is Aaliyah. I'm one of the other student success coaches that I work with Kat and Mo and Karen and Dr. Craig. And just to add on to what Kat said, we're like a hub of help. We help connect students to resources at the college, and we help them with like executive functioning skills. So problem solving around issues, helping with organization, just how to help them stay on track. And then connect them to Brittany if things arise. What am I hoping to get out of this? Yeah, learning new skills, enhancing ones that I already have, basically echoing what others have been saying. Thank you.
Ingrid, I was just about to come back to you. So you're on it. Okay, perfect. Self-care, I got you. Self-care, balance. I think that the theme is, as leaders, we need to know how to take care of ourselves so that we can know how to lead others. And we need to know how to balance our personal lives with our professional lives in order to remain effective in the work that we do and that we're passionate about and that we're so excited about when we get offered a position and accept a position. But then when we get in the position, realize that this frontline work with students becomes draining, it becomes tedious, it becomes overwhelming. And then before you know it, you're starting to dread the work that you once loved. So I believe that as we start talking about leadership mindset today, and we incorporate in our thought process and our introspection, how do we care for ourselves? Like, for example, for me, self-care is let me tell you a little bit about me first. I have a master's in divinity from Wake Forest University. I am a PhD candidate at the North Carolina State Agricultural and Technical College, North Carolina A&T, here in Greensboro, North Carolina. I am the senior pastor of the Greater New Hope Baptist Church. I am a chaplain at the Moses Cone Hospital here, completing a residency program. I'm also the author of a book entitled Transforming the Minds of Men, Maximizing Potential from Childhood to Manhood. And I'm also a community activist and leader. I'm really advocating for the community. And so a lot of my work has been through transformative leadership in so many different settings, not just the college setting. So I've worked for University of Phoenix. I've done some work for of course, Montgomery County Community College, but then also Newman University, I'm sure you're familiar with. I've done some guest lecturing there. And the list goes on. The resume is there. However, what I've learned throughout this process is that many times leaders just need to be given permission to do some introspective and reflective work that allows them to really take what they know and apply it in a way that's really effective to those who are a part of their cohort. So the worksheet that you have, and everybody should have it because Karen sent it out. And if you need me to share my screen, I don't mind, but I don't need to if you have it. It talks about the fears. What are your fears as a leader? Like, what hinders you from really showing up into your space as your authentic self, the person who was offered the job, to really be able to do your job most effectively? Like, what are the fears? And that's what we need to start with, because those fears are what hinder us from not only providing ourselves with self-care and balance, but those fears are what hinder us from being effective in the work that we do. So can somebody just call out a fear or two that you notice have hindered you? Because you all were transparent in the things that you say you need in terms of team dynamics or balance or just understanding how to do self-care. So what hinders you from showing up? If anybody's willing to offer that.
Pressures from home.
Home pressures. What else?
I don't know if it's a fear because I always show up, but the fear is if I don't show up, then there's going to be a bigger problem.
That's so what that is, if I can define that a little bit deeper for you, is our inability to not is to be authentic about the fact that we don't want to show up, because we feel that, because if I admit that I don't want to show up today, then what I'm saying is I don't want to do that, when really I'm saying, no, I need to take care of myself today. So we never offer truth because we don't ever want to seem incompetent. Because as soon as we start saying, oh, I can't show up today, then people will start to judge that. And then that starts a whole nother dynamic that creates things in us that make us feel like we're not enough, or we're not doing what we've been asked to do. So that's good. I think that's very transparent too, and very necessary, because how many of us show up when really we really should have taken some time? Because now, watch this, Kat. Now I showed up and I'm irritated. Now I showed up and I'm not willing to do what I need to do. And even though I'm going to do some things, it's not as effective as it could be. And maybe on the surface it does, but I'm talking about for yourself. I'm not saying you don't get the job done, because you get the job done, right? But how much have you damaged yourself along the way? And now you go home and you're exhausted and you like, what happened today? What happened is you neglected your truth and yourself, and you've been through the mindfulness, you've been through the breathing, and you didn't take time to breathe. You've been through the wellness and you didn't take time to care for yourself. And so you showed up, but still neglected yourself after you care for everybody else. And how long can that really be effective? I can't hear you.
You drive down my street with a Hummer.
Okay. All right, who else? Somebody else, fear.
I fear that sometimes there's not enough time in the day to get my stuff done, and I feel like I let others down.
Can I offer a truth? There is not enough time in the day. Can we all agree that there's not enough time in the day? So my solution to that is, you can only do what you can do, and whatever is not done today gets put on the list for tomorrow. And until you give yourself permission to not get everything done today, you will always be in a rat race to complete something that will never be completed. And when you put yourself in that, you'll constantly be a disappointment to yourself. And even when you've done great work, you will not even be able to celebrate your great work because of what you didn't get done. And
the problem is, sometimes if you work for a grant, like in our case for Keys, we have deadlines. We have daily reports, we have weekly reports, monthly reports, annual reports. And sometimes we cannot wait until tomorrow. It must be done today because today is the deadline. You know what I mean? Like, it's
So then my question to you, Mr. D, would be this. Then if that is the case, then that's what needs to get done. So what are you doing that doesn't need to get done today, that you're more comfortable doing, so you do that instead of what you're supposed to be doing? Because a lot of times, and I don't know if this is the case, but a lot of times we start doing things like, let's think about children, for example, my children. I'll use my kids as an example. They know they have the math homework, but because that's the hardest homework, they save that for last. And I tell them, no. Do that as soon as you get home. You can do that. You can do the science. You don't have a problem doing the science. So I offer professionals, do what the deadlines are first, and then all of that other stuff that you can ask for a deadline extension, be flexible with your superiors and say, I need to get this done. Can I get you this tomorrow? That's how you prioritize. Because if not, you'll always be in a race to the finish, and you'll never feel like you get ahead of the game.
And the thing is, the thing that I like is about a plan. You need a plan. So to be here, I said, okay, we're going to have this training from 1 to 3. And I planned before. I said, I'm going to complete some of my tests like before 1, and I'll be able to complete the rest of my tests after 3 o'clock. So I have 2 extra hours to complete everything. Because right now I want to give attention to you. I respect you and respect my team. This is why I'm here. And I want to learn, actually. So it's the first, my first goal, learn more.
Yeah, and I think that when you prioritize you, this is about self-care, right?
Yep.
Because not only do you like you may put off something that you need to do, but you also need to make sure that you're still growing and developing and empowered, because when we don't put ourselves in that equation and our own professional development and our own self-care, then we neglect ourselves. So
Because if I keep checking my emails, I can hear the sound like emails coming. But if I decide, okay, I'm going to check emails, I'm not going to focus here, I'm not going to learn anything. I'll be just like somebody else there doing this meeting. That's it.
Exactly. And then you won't be engaged, right?
No,
And
yep.
and think about this. We're all in student support services. How do we feel when students aren't engaged with what we're doing?
Yep.
How do we feel when students we're trying to talk to them and they're texting and they're engaged in other things that are more important to them? Then that's how we make that time to say, you know what, I'm going to focus on this. So I think that that's really good. So I think that the last spirit that I want to address, and you can use these sheets as often as you want, right? You can do this for you can print this out as many times, and you may have a different fear every day, right? Your fear, like I think Kathy offered up, is some home stuff. There may be some home stuff that needs to be addressed in today. So how do I handle home and still keep a work balance? That's important because I'm working with students who need to know the balance of work and home too. So really giving yourself, I see that Mr. Smith put in that chat, give yourself permission to do. And a lot of times we as adults we live in guilt, we function out of guilt, we think in guilt. We think of all of the things that we shouldn't be doing, why we can't do it, why we won't do it, and never give ourselves permission to do what we know we need to do in order to be effective. And really, in that fear category, it's like you have to take the time to make home a priority. And what I do as a transformative leader is I incorporate myself in my day. There is a part of my day, even when I'm here at the hospital, they know at 4:00 I'm going to the treadmill. And guess what? If I get a call, I'm gonna have to call and see how important that call is. I'm gonna be still walking on that treadmill while I'm talking, because I'm committed to the self-care for myself to figure out what that progress looks like. And when you commit to yourself, then people start to commit to you. Because my team now knows, that's Lavelle's time. He worked through lunch so he can get this time.
Can I add something?
Yeah, go ahead.
So y'all know with we did some chakra work. And when I do this to everybody know, I'm referencing Mo. We have a member of the team who is balanced from head to toe because she gives herself permission to do her. She has created boundaries, and I'm still learning this, and I'm actually implementing it with my family. Just got a little interesting text message from my mom, but I'm not going to respond because I'm creating boundaries and setting expectations because I desire to be balanced and well. Because again, I preach, I teach, and I say this to my team all the time. We really need to position ourselves to be able to do this work, this help work out of the overflow. Otherwise, we're going to run dry and burn ourselves out if we're using all of the only oil we have in this vessel. We need extra oil because we need some of the oil for ourselves. So that's for you, Deacon Holly.
No, and I think so. For example, I'm at the hospital right now. My supervisor knows what I'm doing. My team knows what I'm doing. And while I'm on the call, the text comes through. Somebody needs to go to one of my units, but I've committed to this. I have coverage, right? I understand what my responsibilities are, but I also know what my commitments are too. You can be responsible for your responsibilities and still manage your commitments. I hope you're getting this. That being responsible and committed means making provision for what you cannot do. And a lot of times we're so busy trying to do everything else, but we do not ask for support from the people who are the support staff. I just want to do everything. No. You can't do everything. And the fact that we're burning out is because we have people that we will not request information from, support from. Well, I'll just do it myself. No, well, then that's why you're burnt out. That's why if somebody else is there, allow them the responsibility. I don't know if I can trust them. Well, have you ever given them the chance to mess up? And so when you give them permission to fill in for you, when you give them, and guess what? You may try it when you really don't need it so you can test it out, instead of just waiting until you can't do it to get them to fill in. Test out what they can do, what their capacity is, so that you know what you do an asset inventory with your staff. If you're a leader of a staff, what is your asset inventory? Who can I get to cover for me? Who's administratively sound? Who works well with students? Who knows how to build a rapport? All right, now I know I can only do this and I can only do that. Then, I need to call on Holly. Deaconess Holly, I need you to I need you to do this, and this, right? All right, Kat is friendly with everybody. She got the neighborhood award. I need to go into a department that I don't really have a good relationship with. Kat, I need you to go pave the way for power, or whatever it is. And how do we use these intersections of these student support programs to really build relationship and to think outside the box and not let ourselves be boxed into one modality that really restricts us from. That's why we're so tensed up. That's why we're so restricted, because we just haven't thought outside the box. Does that make sense? All right, so now.
Amen.
Okay, good. I'm just, it's hard when everybody's on mute to know if I'm this is, give me, I appreciate the little emojis, do something, let me know that it's worth the time that I got dying patients in the hospital that somebody that's alive need to say amen. No, all right, so then we talk about, what is your desire? If you were the perfect leader today, so I'm gonna go from fears to desires real quick. We'll get to strengths and growing edges in a minute. But if you was your perfect leader today, what would you possess that you don't possess? Let's dream for a minute. And I want to hear from some people like I haven't heard from, like Skylar and Brittany and
Diversity skills, I guess, if that makes sense.
okay, yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we have some desires of diversity skills. What else do y'all desire that you don't have?
I'll say like developing and growth a little bit more with jobs. I feel I have I don't know if this even relates, but sometimes I struggle because I have family at home. So just balancing, like taking on as much as you can, but not taking on too much that you feel like overwhelmed. So I guess I'm a little limited with with growth in that area, just because I feel like comfortable where I'm at and, feel challenged still, but I don't know, in a part-time capacity. I don't know if that makes sense. Sorry.
It
I talk in
does,
circles.
Brittany, because I actually put capacity to do more, right?
Okay,
So I think
capacity to do
that
more, that's good.
probably parallels.
That
the
sounds
stuff, right?
nicer. I like the way you worded that. Yeah.
We get you. And what I want you to do is realize when you start to speak out what your desires are, what you do with the environment is you give the environment permission to bring to you what you need to get out of it what it has for you, right? And within your home, if you work from home, if you're in your backyard, Kathy, wherever you are, when you begin to speak out what you desire, and I write this in my transformation book, that when we write down our vision, that helps that vision get closer to us. When we speak out that vision, that helps our vision get closer to us. When we share it with somebody else, we've really increased our chance 3 times more than we would have if we just kept it in our head. So the fact that we're able to say, this is what I need capacity to do, now is closer to you, Brittany, than you thought, because you took it from a thought and a picture in your mind to words that now can take feet in the environment that you're in, which now creates these boundaries, which now creates this capacity for you to give yourself permission to do. And then same thing with Skylar and the diversity piece. So now that we know what our desires are, anybody else want to offer a desire before I go into this really briefly? What do you desire that yes, please, Deaconess. I don't know what that, I don't know.
Do you
what
want to
that
go, Holly?
Yeah, go ahead, Aaliyah.
Oh, so I experienced like a lot of sizeism. I'm petite. I'm really petite, and I have small, like this like chipmunk voice. And I experienced a lot of sizeism, and like I don't look my age, and people often don't really take what I'm saying seriously. And I'm working on like the tone of my voice and how I'm saying things. But I guess I desire. So sometimes I kind of sink into like my size. Like I become small, or I'm not as confident or secure. But I don't know, on the flip side, I can be really assertive, and sometimes that doesn't come off well. So
And I'm not in agreement. It is not that she was off-putting, but part of that breathe, relax, lead. And because she's small in stature, but I know she can be powerful and mighty in presence, I identified some of my more reserved team members to be team leads in the kitchen. So we did a culinary team building, and Aaliyah didn't play any games with the risotto. I'm gonna just say that, or the chicken, whatever dish she was in charge of. She played. No, it was the risotto. She played no. Are you gonna saute those onions now? So yeah, no sidebar.
So quickly, Aaliyah, let me pour into you. So to sink means to go down below the surface. I need you to rise to the, I need you to rise above that. Everywhere you go to speak, to participate, and to lead, that you automatically know that your platform has been, and your stage has been set for you to rise to it, not for you to ever shrink for anyone, right? So I'm big in stature. So a lot of times I have shrunk because I didn't want people to be intimidated by my bigness. I'm 6'3", I'm 290 pounds, you know, and when I walk into the room, it's like, whoa, like who is this coming into the room? And so I would be hunched over and bending down. And it's like, I wasn't appreciating my size for my bigness, right? And when you shrink in your mind, then you automatically shrink even lower. So if you're already petite and you're shrinking mentally, then your size and your presence in the room. But so can I just tell you that you can be the smallest one in the room, but the biggest one in the room. All you got to do is believe that. And I know that sounds so generic, but it's so true. If you walk into that room and command that room because of who you are and what you believe from yourself, then everybody else is going to buy into that. And nobody will look at you. And if you believe what you say, then people are going to believe what you say. But if you don't believe it, and if you don't take it serious, people are not going to take it serious. So no longer will you sink. Today you soar, right? And you write that on your sheet, and under your desires, I'm not sinking, I'm soaring, right? And so as we look at that, we know that sinking means going below the surface, but soaring means that you fly or rise high. So no longer do we go below, but we soar, we rise above that which we're afraid of, so that we can get to the level that we need to get to perform at the capacity which we are, you know, it has nothing to do with size. So yeah, hope that was helpful. Yeah. Thank you for the hand claps, and I appreciate it, because when I'm feeling it, I'm feeling it. You know what I'm saying? This is good. I wish I was in person with y'all. We would be having a good time right now. And y'all wouldn't be worried about the dings of y'all email and what y'all got to do when y'all get out of here. We would be having a good time. So, and so as we look at these desires, what I want to offer to you is give yourself permission to dream. As leaders, we get so caught up into jobs, job descriptions, job titles, to-do lists, the email inbox, the response time, the deadlines, the reports, that we forget to dream. So then we lose our desire. When you do not dream, you lose your desire. When you don't dream, you lose your desire. As you begin to dream, and I call it dreaming out loud in my book, when you dream out loud, you just start to fantasize about what a perfect world looks like that doesn't exist, that you now give permission to exist because you spoke it out loud. And so you have to realize that when you give yourself permission to speak it out loud, then you allow your environment to respond to you, and you don't respond to the environment. I'm gonna say that again because somebody didn't get that, and you need to put that on your paper. Stop responding to the environment and make the environment respond to you. Stop coming in and responding to MCCC and make MCCC respond to your personality, what you bring to the table. Don't be pulled down, pull it up.
Amen.
I know Dr. Smith energy. You ain't pulling him down. You're not coming to him with foolishness. Because you have to be solution driven as leaders, as program coordinators, as success coaches, and working with veterans. I was a student in Act 101 as a college student, working with people with food insecurities and financial disparities. You're dealing with people who already have the weight of the world on them. You cannot come in weighted down based on the environment. You have to pull them to a place of expectation of themselves in order to pull them out of these situations. It's not about having money to give them. It's about having a hope to give them that they can do something different for themselves. And if they can invest into themselves long enough to obtain education, empowerment, and really put that to practice, then this program has actually had an impact. Otherwise, it's just been a program to give you a job, to buy you some time to figure out what you want to do with your life, and really had no impact on the student.
Mr. McMichael, can you talk about the expectation? Because I think sometimes we're afraid to make known what our expectations are of our students, and letting people know what we expect in the roles that we serve. We're afraid, we're intimidated, or we think it's not polite.
If you don't set expectations, that was Ingrid, right?
Correct.
If we don't set expectations, our expectations never get met. If we don't articulate our expectations of our students, they will never meet them. And a lot of times we as adults and professionals we're so into this superstitious mind game that people already know what to do, but just aren't doing it. So we don't even articulate what people should be doing because we feel like they should already know. If they knew, they wouldn't be in our program. So our job as program leaders and facilitators is really to give them instruction of what we need to expect, and not only what to expect, what do we expect, but how do we expect them to meet the expectation? What are the tools? Somebody said that they wanted the tools to, they wanted their repertoire to become bigger. The way you get your tool belt to become bigger is to start gathering and start to listen and to understand what makes other people successful. And when you understand what makes other people successful, you start sharing that. You don't just build a tool belt that makes your repertoire bigger. You start sharing that, because as we're in dialogue today, I'm not only learning from you, but you're learning from me. Somebody is learning something from somebody that's in the office with you, or the building with you, or the same vicinity with you, that you didn't realize, oh, I've been working here 15 years and didn't even know you had this ability to do that. That's asset inventory that allows us to really move into a direction that brings us into alignment with our true purpose. And the latter part of my book is about maximizing potential, right? When you maximize potential, that means you've used up all of your ability, and now you're oozing into your purpose. That you've gone from ability to potential, and now your potential is actually working for you. That you're discovering parts of yourself. So as program leaders, you can't feel sorry for your students. As program leaders, you can't feel like, oh, I can't have that expectation of them because they're already disenfranchised and marginalized. As program participants, you can't feel like, oh, woe is me. No, I'm in this position to impact and empower somebody to have a better mindset. That's why we're talking about a leadership mindset. Your mindset is to impact minds. Your mindset is to shift the thinking that causes minds to be lost, that takes us into mental health, that takes us into food insecurity, that takes us into unemployment and economic disenfranchisement. Because if you change the mind, you can be broke and if you have a good mind, everything's going to work out. I mean, I know that firsthand. I moved from Philadelphia to Arizona, spent 17 years in Arizona, then moved to North Carolina and was able to start over, start fresh. And now I'm teaching my 17-year-old son how to do that. And I'm telling him, it's in your blood to be able to do this. I'm telling him stuff that he don't even know he has the ability to do. It's in your bloodline to be able to shift your mindset. You are just under pressure. Pressure don't squeeze you to nothing. It builds you up to what you were created to do. And when you tell your students their potential, when you show them, I'm not looking at your ability. Ability is momentary and only assesses you for now. I'm gonna say this slowly so you can get it. Ability assesses you for now. Potential is all that you can do when it's that time for you to do it. So if I'm assessing your ability and I limit you based off your ability and never consider your potential, I'll put you out of my office. I'll get tired and won't be bothered with you because I'm assessing ability and not potential. Your ability to show up on time right now, not your potential to show up on time in the future. Your ability to get the job done now, but not your potential. You see. And I was that fifth grade student. I still keep in contact with my fifth grade teacher. She came to be a part of something that I did a few weeks ago. And she sat in the teacher's lounge with teachers who felt I would never be anything. And she would pull me to the side and say, I'm rooting for you. You're going to be something great one day. This is what my fifth grade teacher is telling me. You have to be that person that believes in a child that nobody else believes in, that even you sometimes feel like this is, come on, y'all, let's be honest. If you're going to be honest, you got to be honest with yourself. There are some students that you say, this ain't no way in the world. And I've been doing this a long time. I've written books about it, and this ain't no way. But something in you has to be able to pull out their potential to say, what? That's the student I need to work with. That one that's impossible, come here, let's talk. Tell me what your desires are. Let's dream. Let's forget about all this stuff. I was in the training and the facilitator had me dreaming. What's your dreams? Take these trainings, take this paper and make this applicable to those students that's in your program. They come and sit in your office. You gonna sit in here and talk to me? What's your mindset? What you fearful of? What is the thing what is it that's causing you to be stuck? What is the saying say? Our greatest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure.
I put the link to that poem in the chat.
Right. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. That's what I'm, you know what I'm saying? We ask ourselves, who am I? I am to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous. Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child. You know what I'm saying? You
lost him.
He's frozen. Anybody else want to finish with the poem if you click on the link?
My mom was 24 hours.
Ingrid, if you click on it, it takes you out of the Zoom meeting.
It didn't
No,
take
he's
me
back.
out.
He's back. You're good.
We can we'll send it to you so you can have it outside of here. Just take my word for it right now. My mom, can y'all hear me?
We hear you.
Yes.
Okay, somebody said they lost me. So my mom had a liver transplant a few years ago, and my mom had been sick for 20 something years. 24 hours, they said, your liver has shut down. You're not going to live for 24 hours. And so we had a family call and told my mom goodbye. It was a heart-wrenching, it was just crazy. 3 o'clock that morning, they flew a liver from Colorado to Arizona, and my mom got a liver transplant. It's been 4 years, she's still alive. My mom was so used to being a sick woman until I had to tell my mom, you've spent 20 plus years being sick. Now you have to learn how to live well. That's the message to y'all today. You have to learn how to do this well. You've done it poorly. We've learned how to work under poor conditions. We've learned how to work under time constraints. We've learned how to work under budget cuts and all of this stuff. But now let's do something. Mr. Smith, Dr. Smith says it, the good doctor, he always says, out of the overflow. What is your overflow taking you into that allows you to show up well-balanced, full of life and energy, and not exhausted from trying to balance all of this stuff? Somebody offer me something. I've been talking a lot here. Where are you at? Where are we at? Let me do an assessment of the room since I'm not in person.
Well, first off, I'm glad your mom is okay and that she, survived the liver transplant. That's really great news. And I just appreciate the information you're sharing. I think it's very uplifting and refreshing, and just a good, reminder to keep in mind moving forward working with students. So I find it helpful. So thank you.
And I want to make it practical too, that whatever program you're in, whether it's the veterans, the Act 101, Power, Keys, that you're able to, like, from a virtual standpoint, from an in-person standpoint, one-on-one, however you're meeting with students or staff. How many of you supervise staff? Are there any supervisors on? Okay.
Ingrid and Craig. Yep.
Okay. And then how many of you work alongside of colleagues that need motivation, right? So, like, how do you all, like, impact each other in terms of the work that you do, and how do you show up for that? Is all of this stuff, whether you're supervising or working alongside or a team of one, like, how do you stay excited about your work even though you don't have a team, right? So all of this stuff is so needed in just the fabric of your programming and your attention to yourself. Who else?
I stay positive. I really am in an office by myself, but I stay positive for when I help other departments, when I learn how other departments and what they need help with, and just stepping up to the plate. If I have, time, I can help them.
That's good. So help is great. I don't like the word help. I'm gonna give you a different word, because help runs out and help gets tired. People always say, Pastor, I'm gonna help you. And I say, no, don't help me, support me. So you support other departments. Because help, you know what I mean? Because with the energy you came to me with, Kathy, it don't seem like you just helping, you supporting, right? Support is more stable. Support is more consistent. Support is more reliable. So
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I feel like, that's.
Yes, you have my support and help.
There you go.
Come on, Kathy, you got my support.
Oh, I feel the love.
All right. Anybody else want to offer something before we go into our last 2 segments? This has been good. Y'all are really empowering me. Sometimes you just need this fuel. I think people underestimate professional development and the refuel that it gives. And sometimes we feel like it's a waste of time. But when it's the right energy, it can give you what you need to get 5 papers done You know, I write reports all the time, and it's nothing like being energized to get those, that get the language. Because a lot of times those reports just, it's, if we have the right language, we can knock them out like this. But it's when we are empty from the words and empty from the work. And so my goal today is just to put the words into you, Mr. D, that those next few reports just, I want them to flow out of you till you just like, I'm gonna do next week's report today, and then just tweak it as I need to, and develop templates for this. Because grant work is, you know, I just took I know I'm doing a lot, but this position ends August 18th. I just took a position at High Point University as the assistant director for community development, community engagement. And, you know, grant work is not easy work. It's tedious. But it can be impactful. And so how do you get that language from those interactions to really fuel you, to get you energized and charged, almost like that Tesla that plugs up at the gas station? You want your hallway conversations to be like fuel stations. If a hallway conversation is not a fuel pump, no more. Don't let people sap you from your energy. If that conversation is not uplifting and energizing, those are the conversations that you talk about self-care. If you can get yourself to not engage in conversations that are not helpful to your energy and your fuel, that's self-care. Don't give ear to that which is not fruitful for you or productive for you. Because it's easy to get looped into the negativity and the lack of positive energy because somebody's disgruntled, disappointed, moving from job to job, moving from position to position. While you're still in your position, you don't have time for that. You stay where you at. You be productive in what you're doing. Because trying to keep track of how many people left their job and who's still in the department and how much turnover this department had, you don't have time for that. That's taking energy from your productivity. That's taking away time from your completion of work that's important to your job description. That's unnecessary energy to the fuel that you need to be successful and impactful. So let's go to strengths. What are you? So we've talked about our fears, and I hope y'all are following this. It's so hard when you're not like writing on the board and all that kind of stuff. So we've talked about our fears. We've dreamed a little bit. So now, what are you good at? What is your strength? Like when people, I'm just picking on Kat because I heard Dr. Smith say she got the neighborhood award. I'm just assuming one of her strengths is that people gravitate to her. She shifts energy in the room. For the others that I don't really know, what is your strength? Is it administration? What is it? What is your strength?
I'm going to say reliable.
All right. Who said that? Kathy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I need to put this on speaker view so I see it when you start talking. Okay. Got you. All right. Who else? What's your strength?
I'm going to say positive attitude. I try to be positive as much as I can. So.
All right. Now remember, your colleagues know your strength. So I should see thumbs up, you know. Let's support our colleagues if we agree. If we don't, let's challenge. Not to make look bad or feel bad, but to say, yeah, okay, good. All right, what else? Who else?
Aaliyah, you're a wealth of information. You forgot to tell them.
Aaliyah's a wealth of information. She's being shy on me. Somebody's singing your praises. Who else? Ingrid, what's your strength? Skylar, what's your strength?
I would probably say my strengths are administration and systems,
Nice.
how things connect. I like sharing information, useful information. I like problem solving.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. Somebody else that has.
I would say I'm organizational. I'm like consistent. with what I do. And I feel like I'm always there when my colleagues need me, I guess, for anything that they need.
Yes, she is.
So available. That's good.
Yeah, I'm very always available. But I guess that's kind of a weakness though, too, because, sometimes I need self-care and yeah.
So how can we as a staff support, like to say, hey, I know you're always available, but make sure you take some time for yourself. We have to be able to redirect that. We know that's a weakness, so let's.
Yeah, Miss Fisher and Mr. D are really good with that. We're all pretty good with reminding ourselves that we need to breathe and take a walk. Mr. D takes walks and
she tells me all the time, Mr. D, take your lunch break.
yeah, like you just need to do it. And Miss Fisher is really good with that too. We're always there for each other. I think that's really important.
So it seems like a strength is that the team looks out for one another. That's good.
I would say we definitely do.
That's excellent. That's a good strength. Who else? Holly, have I heard from you?
Not yet. I think I'm analytic and reflective. So I like to really think things through and make considerations. And I also think I'm a good communicator.
Nice.
Holly, you're a good singer too.
Oh, thank you. I'll put myself out there.
Look at these thumbs up. Also, as we do professional development, what I've noticed in these Zoom settings, and because I've been in a lot of Zoom settings, we're not as confident in our offering of our professionalism. So we lead with I think, and it's like, no, that lessens your value. I am. And so I want everybody to start leading with I am, and then say what you are, because when you think, that means there is a possibility that you're not. So even as you are talking on the phone, because I do it all the time and I have to check myself, let's be mindful to not think, but to know where our strengths are, because I'm hearing colleagues say, yes, that's who you are. Yes, that's what you offer. And so it's not a thought anymore. It is a reality of what you possess. Who am I going to? Sarah, I am what?
I just threw mine in the chat. I am really great at follow through, and like Kathy, the reliability piece is something I would say I excel in.
Yes, Zoom performance anxiety is real. It is. But you know what? So I'm a public speaker, and I've been public speaking for 30 something years. And what I realize is that my best friend is my fear. Step on top of it and be willing to make a fool of yourself to express yourself. Because within your fear is your ability to not break through, but to break out, like to break open the person that's hiding behind all of the fear. There's a brighter you behind that fear is trying to prevent from breaking open. And I have to remind myself that I'm afraid my voice is too soft. I don't have a haircut today, and this is not right. And my background is windows, and you know what I'm saying? So many different insecurities begin to flood us and make us feel like we're not enough, but we are enough. Somebody needs to just encourage yourself. I am enough. And my fear is just trying to prevent me from breaking open. And it's time for me to break open. When you break open, your students will. When you come to work and you're open to be that person that you've been afraid to be, your students are going to show up different. All right. So those are our strengths. Now, finally, we'll start here as we end here. Where can you use some, I call them growing edges? Where do you need some work? Like, where, like, what do you need to grow with? Now, I'll tell you, preparation is one of my growing edges. I'm just bad at preparation. And so I have, from my church ministers to preparing messages, I have really mastered preparation because I was the one that waited to the night before, to the hour before to, I've had these flyers, I've had these handouts done for over 2 weeks now. I'm proud of myself because I'm thinking to myself, I conceptualized it, I talked it out, I had these strategy meetings with Dr. Smith, and it's like, you can't, I can't wait to the last minute. So procrastination and preparation is where I've needed to grow as a professional, because I can talk well because I'm a public speaker. I'm an oratorical contest winner, right? But now I need to know that from a professional standpoint, my preparation is just as needed as my ability to articulate my thoughts, right? This handout is just as impactful to my visual learners than to my auditory learners that need something to go along with the commentary. So what are some things, what are your growing edges? If you're willing to be vulnerable.
You mentioned something earlier about Monco like being responsive to us and not us responding to Monco. And I can, bless you, I can do that when it comes to like our space in the future for the fall. But when it comes to like the programming and things of what other people want for the school, as opposed to like what we're trying to do for the students, I don't know how to do that. Does that make sense?
You said you don't know how to do for what for the students?
Like I can respond, like for that when we talked earlier about us being responsive to Monco and not like basically Monco predicting to, or dictating to us. Like I can do that in some ways.
Mhm.
And when it comes to our space for the fall, like, well, actually, I guess it's the other way around. I don't know. When it comes to the space in the fall, like at this point, it's changed so many times. I'm just like, I'll believe it when I see it. So I don't know if that's the right attitude for that either.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel and hear what you're saying, that it's not always as simple. And tell me if I'm getting this right. To respond, to have the environment respond to you, because the environment is so overbearing, overwhelming, and maybe even hi Kathy's child. No, that's fine. I see how ADHD I am. That's a growing edge. I'm supposed to be talking to Sarah, and I'm all on Kathy's camera.
She just comes home and she's like, "Oh, I went shopping. Look at all the clothes." I'm like, "I'm in a meeting." She's like, "Let me see."
But sometimes our environments they're just toxic enough, and I'll use toxic for lack of a better word because I don't know your environment, but they're so overbearing enough that they sap us before we know it. We respond to it, and so it's important to be mindful of your environment, and the fact that you will be intentional and you know that this is the case will allow you to respond different. So don't be so hard on yourself. The fact that you're making yourself aware of it now, you're going to start shifting your environment. It's the awareness piece. A lot of us are not aware of the fact that our environment is doing this, which is why that stuck out to you. So now you're able to shift your environment before you even get there to say, I already know what it's hitting for. So let me get myself together in my car and on my walk up the driveway or whatever, or before this meeting. And that might be replaying. Let me pull out my sheet. This is one of my growing edges. So for those of you who have growing edges that really you need to work on, remind yourself of what your growing edges are so that you know how to work on them in a way that allows you to meet your own self, your goals.
Lavelle, what happens if that, like maybe somebody in your team or like in the college is like makes the environment hard? How do you overcome the negativity or the, like, you're afraid of stepping on, I don't know, unwanted turf or something. How can you tell me how to help myself or anybody in that situation? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a really good, and I guess I would have that. Let me ask a qualifying question. Is this person over you, work alongside of you, work under you? Like, what is
Like
your
parallel.
right? So in that case, for me, it's about shifting the energy and redirecting the negativity, offering what is and not accepting what isn't. So a lot of times, for example, in my line of work, I always have the solutions. So when people say, "Oh, this is a problem, that's a problem," I will come back with the solution. "Oh, well, we're working on this, or we're doing this, or you know what? We just talked about this level of positivity in our professional development. I really wish you were there. Or remember when we talked about this in our, you know, if it's, say, for example, it was somebody here, you can remind them of these times to say, hey, we don't want the environment to control us. We want to control the environment. Let's not, it's just about accountability. It's really about being direct consistently so that you can shift. People shift to you. And when we start wavering, then people will waver. And a lot of times we have to check ourselves and how we respond so that we don't give permission to people to be negative. So for example, I was somebody was mad at me at church and I had changed some leadership and they were like, "Pastor, you did this and you did that." And I said, "Oh, well, you weren't here when we did this." And somebody started laughing. And I said, "Oh, no, we're not laughing at each other right now. That's not what we're doing in this. I'm just offering information." Right? So consistent leadership is important. Being direct, knowing how to redirect negative energy, and then really offering the positive vibes that you need. And if I had a scenario, like if say these students are always, they always late, and so what can we do to get these students to be on time? Because I believe they have the potential to be on time, and right now their ability isn't matching their potential. But let's work on some ways to strategize to get their timeliness to be a little bit more of their priority, right? Or, "Oh, I'm so tired. I come into work and I'm whoo, I've been up all night." You know, I try to go to bed at night to really work on giving myself some self-care. Self-care is really important. Have you thought about some things that'll help? You know what I mean? Like you
I think it's important to keep the balance because I know when you have work, you have your family. An example, like on Monday was my daughter's birthday. She's 11 now. We had planned like for a week to have some girls come here for a sleepover. So on the night before on Sunday, she had fever. She, cough, and I was like, okay, let's have a cake, and was very careful with my words. And I said, "Lucy, how about if you take a test, like a COVID test?" And she said, "Okay, Daddy, okay, let's do it." And she did. It was positive. And I was like, "Okay, now what?" And you have to think about, okay, I have work, I have stuff to do, and now I have my daughter that she's 11 today, and she got tested positive for COVID, and we have to tell her that we have to change the plans, postpone the sleepover. And we did. So thank God I have my wife, and we support each other, and my other sister, my other the oldest daughter, and we got it. So we postponed for next Saturday. But it's something that it stay in your mind, like, okay, now I have to go to work. I have this situation in my house, and it's hard to keep the balance.
Yeah. It takes creativity, it takes flexibility, and you're right. It's a case by case basis. There's no one way to skin this cat. There's no one way. There's no way you can eat this elephant with one.
And it's not different with my students. The same thing. Sometimes I think they're my kids, and I have to come with a plan B or C
or D, E, F, G, all the way to Z.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just to keep the balance. And the one thing that I didn't say anything about the strengths, one of my strengths, I think, is like I take energy from people in a good way. I need this energy. This is why it's my fuel. When I talk to people, and Miss Fisher can maybe agree or disagree, I don't know, and Schuyler and my team here, because I need people. I need to talk to people.
Well, we're in the business of people. So anybody that's in student support services that don't want people should
It's
be
the
in
wrong,
work.
yeah.
Yeah, you're in the wrong work. If you don't like people and you don't want to be bothered and you want to be by yourself, and I mean, I don't work with y'all, so I don't know who, hopefully that's nobody on this Zoom, but
Yeah.
like that's the wrong job, because you have to be bothered with people. And I'll talk about that with our leaders tomorrow. Tomorrow there's a leadership series that we're doing, and we'll be talking about customer service. And anyway, we'll be doing some stuff. So whoever's with me tomorrow, who's with me tomorrow? Woo-hoo. So
I
yeah.
think I might be with you tomorrow. I'm not sure.
It's Holly and Ingrid.
Okay.
Yeah, just us.
Woo-hoo. So
Yep.
yeah, I'm really excited. So we'll dive into that. So yeah, if you two can spend some time with the heart of the matter document, that would be good. I mean, I provided all of the documents for everybody, just so that you can, and Ingrid and Holly, after we meet, you might want to share and pass in with your colleagues some of the things we talk about. But I just believe that this type of work is contagious and can be really meaningful and impactful from an individual standpoint, and then it breaks open into the collective work and responsibility that we all have to do this work within these departments that have intersections and crossovers to really help and impact students in a way that's meaningful for their success at Montgomery County Community College. So any questions for me, about the leadership series, about it? Did you get what you needed? Do you want me to go? I know a couple of questions were asked. Did you get your questions answered? Mr. Smith is tied up in another meeting, and so I'm going to close the meeting out. But I want to make sure that everybody has what they need before they leave. And I can always hang around after for any questions and whatever. And Dr. Smith knows how to get in contact with me, and we can go from there. I think I'll be doing at least 2 more of these. So,
Lavelle, did Craig mention about making up last week's session or not yet?
I have not spoken to him about
We'll,
that.
we'll get
but-
it taken care of.
Okay.
I just wanted to follow up what Dee said in the chat, but thank you. Thank you for your time, and this was very helpful, and good things to keep in mind, like I said. And I appreciate your answer to Kathy's question as well, with how to deal with like negative energy. I noticed that recently, just in my personal life, with like a tough conversation that a friend brought around my daughter, that I don't want to talk, like I wouldn't want my daughter to talk about. It was about body image, and she has a negative self-body image, and I was like, how can I avoid these conversations, like, because it's something I'm really trying to keep out of my daughter's ears as much as possible. So I just kind of shut it down and just was like, stay healthy, stay happy, and we moved on with the conversation. But it was something I felt like if I continued to give into that conversation, that it would have just continued to go on and it would have been negative. So yeah, so thank you for that.
Yeah, I would also say that's an excellent opportunity, because it's something you don't want your daughter to succumb to control that conversation.
Right.
To say, positive body image is important, and loving yourself regardless of who you are. And when you can love yourself and say, that's what I'm teaching my daughter, right? And how can I help you to love you, and to really frame your words different? Because it seems like you're really being hard on yourself.
That's a great way to put it. I'll keep that. If my friend brings it up again, I will.
And then, so
use
what
that
I would say is,
language.
I noticed we talked about this before, and you're bringing it up again. How can I help you to really embrace? I believe you're a beautiful young lady, and how can I get you to embrace who you are? Because I see so much potential in you, and so much this, and you're that, and then you see that, and you do that in front of your daughter. So now your daughter has the tools.
Mhm.
We talk
That's
about
so
a tool. We
helpful.
talk about a tool belt that when we don't do these conversations in front of our children, or we shut them down, then what we teach our children is how to shut down and avoid. That's not what we want. We want to be able to address and redirect. Like, no, we're not going to do that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank
But I'm confrontational, so I don't mind jumping in.
I'm not. See, I'm very like reserved and just kind of, I like to keep it to myself, like my thoughts, but it's something that I'm working on to try to help, help another person. And her daughter's 4 and actually is now starting to talk about her body, like she ate too much. And I'm like, for a 4-year-old, like she said her stomach was too big and stuff. So it's like really a high fear on my list of fears, like for my daughter growing up. So it hit close to home to me. So I'm like, oh, so thank you for that advice.
Yeah, for sure. Anybody else?
I like what you said, about fear. And so for me, I always have to take a step back and ask myself, is this a like real fear, like threatening, or is it me perceiving it because it hasn't really happened and I'm fearful that this will happen? So I sort of like starting in the process of like really taking back and assessing, just making sure that, okay, so I feel these feelings and I do feel like there's some angst and maybe there's going to be leading to fear. But if this thing hasn't happened and it's not going to hurt me, then I don't have to acknowledge this or adapt this fear, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I would just venture to say that fear is not real, and it is really just intimidation of a possible outcome.
Mhm.
And when we give it fear, we always learn years ago, false evidence appearing real, right? It's not real. And when I realize that it's just my fear, then that gives me the courage to redefine that situation to be what it's supposed to be. And as you conquer each one of those fears, you realize that was the fantasy of discouragement. Discouragement's intent is to cause you to be fearful so that you won't move forward. Then the discouragement wins because fear has taken root. So you won't move forward. That's good. You answered your own question. I got the answer from you. He was like, because I don't think that this is real. It's not. It's like, oh yeah, wait, it's not real.
Right. And so I'm on this whole thing with this, there's 2 sides, right? So this focus on the side that you want. So if there's a day that things aren't going right with your day, tired, or you have no internet, which is happening to me right now. I have no internet at home, right? Now I have no phone service. And now I don't have an alarm because the alarm is hooked up to the internet, that's hooked up to I'm like, oh my gosh, right? So, and I live in the city. We all need alarms. And so I'm like not having this day, and I'm just like, what's the other side of it? What's the other side? Let's anticipate that the service technician will come out and they'll fix the wires that potentially was cut by the construction crew building this tall building across the street or whatever. But that anticipating that it will be better when I go home so that I can properly communicate to people who want me to call them at like 5:30, 6 o'clock or whatever, or Zoom or internet, whatever. So yeah, the whole anticipation piece is what I look forward to. It like I'm anticipating having these courageous, beautiful, and connecting conversations with students who work all day long and just have that hour at 6 o'clock to talk to me or whatever. So that's the other thing that I hold on to, the anticipation of this is going to be great on the other side.
Right.
Yeah, now I'm just babbling.
No, that's good. I think that when you start talking through your own stuff, like that's the biggest tool. You're talking about a tool belt. If y'all can get this stuff out of your head and hear how it sounds out loud, you're going to automatically start changing the intimidation factor that's plaguing your productivity. Because if it stays in your head, you won't move physically. You'll stay there. You'll stay stuck. Awesome. This has been amazing. If y'all need anything, let me know. If y'all think of anything, tell Ingrid and Holly they can light me up tomorrow. And I want to give y'all enough time. I don't, Mr. D, I want to respect that you got some deadlines. And I think the best part about a training is getting out of a training early, knowing that it could have. So can I just say this? I could take this to 3 because that's just how much is in me. But I respect the fact that I believe you have enough to really propel you into a different place. And if you take these next 30 minutes to really implement some of the practices to really be productive and take this fuel to go a little bit further, I believe that you'll set yourself up tomorrow for something that, you know, a day that's more impactful for you. All right.
Thank you so much, Lavelle. We did record this session, so I will send it out to the team in case anybody wants to revisit what was discussed today, and I can hear what I missed. So thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.